Welcome to the Nebraska Land Bank podcast.
I'm Ty.
I'm David.
I'm Danielle, and we're your hosts. In each episode, we'll sit down with local guests to highlight the incredible people and stories that make our community unique.
From finance to sports, community events to local businesses, we've got it all covered. Join us as we dive into the heart of our community.
This is the Nebraska Land Bank podcast, always community-minded.
Every voice,
Every topic,
every time.
so turn the volume up, settle in,
and
let's talk Nebraska land.
And welcome, friends, back to the Nebraska Land Bank podcast. For Danielle Remus, Ty Lucas, I'm David Fudge, and back today again. We actually have kind of a fun conversation. Nick Russell is with us today. Nick is the owner-operator of the new Chick-fil-A store in North Platte, and I don't know that I have seen as much excitement about anything new that's come to North Platte in the last 5 years than and I think our mayor has alluded to that as well.
Well, yeah, our last episode, one of our icebreaker questions was, what's your dream project?
Right.
Prior to Chick-fil-A coming to North Platte, that would have been my dream
the dream
project.
It's kind of the statement that we have arrived as a community. That's the way I see it.
Once you get a Chick-fil-A, you're there.
You're there.
Yeah. So as we always do, we're going to start off with a icebreaker question, and I think I know where Nick's going to go with this. I don't know for sure, but Danielle, go ahead and fire away.
All right. The question is, what's the best or worst marketing campaign or commercial you've seen for a food beverage company?
Okay, I had to think about this a little bit. Okay, let's remember I grew up in the 80s. The NBA was a really big deal.
Right.
I was a huge Larry Bird fan, even had like the black Converse shoes, you know, Magic, Jordan, all that.
I know exactly where you're
And
going.
so we're going to go with a little show and tell here.
The expressway, over the river, off the billboard,
Yep.
through the window, off the wall, nothing but net.
Okay, so I'm going nothing but net. The Big Mac commercial, Jordan versus Larry Bird, classic food commercial.
Yeah, that's a good one. Now, Danielle, you actually had not a favorite, but a
worst. Yeah. So do you remember the Quiznos mascot? It was like, it looked like a rat. It had ears and eyes and this creepy mouth, and it would like make these really obnoxious, like it didn't talk, but it just made noises. Technically, I guess it was a potato, but you couldn't tell it was a potato. It looked like a rat, and I could never understand why. Like, I'm sorry, as a marketing professional, I don't get why you would choose that for a mascot for your food business.
yeah, that was odd.
It was so odd.
Yeah, that's probably the kindest thing I can say about it. It was odd. Okay, Nick, your turn. What's your favorite?
Yeah, so my favorite would be obviously the Chick-fil-A cows, eat more chicken, the whole campaign that they pushed there for years. I do have a worst one, however.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'm not going to talk about anybody else, but I will talk about us. So our actual first mascot at Chick-fil-A was not the cow. It was actually Doodles the chicken. Okay. And so we had, you can look it up, it's all out there, all over the internet. We had a Doodles car, we had Doodles, you name it. So Doodles everything. The mascot itself was okay. It wasn't terrible. But one of the campaigns they ran was Doodles eating a chicken sandwich. And that was the end of the Doodles era. And so, no joke, we actually did away with Doodles, and later came on the scene the cows. And so that's how we
The cow was great.
Yeah.
But here's the great question.
So I don't know that I ever remember seeing Doodles. Now, again, it was more of a regional chain probably at that time than it is
In the
now.
malls and everything,
Right.
yeah.
I don't know that I ever remember seeing that. But can you imagine seeing a chicken eating a chicken sandwich?
Okay, but here's a great business, I think, lesson or question. Would the cow, the Eat More Chicken cow, have come out if they wouldn't have had the bad ideas of the chicken eating the chicken sandwich?
Well,
because sometimes these brainstorm bad ideas evolve, right?
Yeah, they do. They do. There is some
true.
evolution, natural evolution. So I'm going to go to the fast food industry as well. And my best and my worst come from the same kind of area. So, again, I'm an old guy. I'm older than you, Ty. But do you remember the Wendy's commercials back in the year, Where's the Beef? The little old lady that would open the sandwich and go, Where's the beef? I loved it.
I think that commercial, that was where I was going if I didn't think of nothing but net. Because I still think about that commercial.
Yeah.
I mean, in a sport, of course, us being in beef country, you know, that was a huge
It was a huge, it really resonated in this part of the world. And the worst, who came up with the creepy Burger King? It's like a bad Halloween costume. It's awful. no diss to anybody who works across the street from the bank, but that to me is just an awful mascot. But whatever works for them.
They are the king.
They are the king. Yeah. So let's get into this. Nick, you came from
Hickory, North Carolina.
Yeah. So how long have you been here now?
So we got here in November of last year, so almost a year.
Okay.
Yeah. We moved right in the middle of the cold. I was like, is this what it's like? And then we got to grand opening week, and we saw -30. And I said, wow. I knew it was going to be cold. I didn't expect this. So anyways, so we've been here right over a year. Was able to find a house pretty quickly, which we're super thankful for, especially with the market here as it is. And we're super excited to be here.
So tell us, you moved here with your bride, Leah.
I did. Yep.
Okay. What sort of surprises? Besides the weather. I mean, that one's an obvious one.
Yeah, the weather was a big one. Never seen tornadoes before. Got to experience that for the first time here in Nebraska. But no, all joking aside, the biggest surprise was, I'm from a small town. So it's actually a subsector of Hickory. It's a little town called Startown, the Mountain View area, where we have 4,000 or 5,000 people. But in North Carolina, you can be to Charlotte in 54 minutes with 800-something thousand people. In 2.5 hours, you can be to Columbia, where Leah's from, where they have over 135,000 people, the capital of South Carolina. But here, it's we joke, but we go over to Kearney and to Denver to go do some of our bigger shopping that we needed to get done, right? And I've never thought through having to actually plan a Sunday afternoon after church, going over and getting our stuff, putting it in coolers, and bringing it back. And so that was just something that shocked us, I think.
I'll be darned. Interesting.
It's kind of sometimes it's the best and the worst thing about living here, isn't it, all at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The great part about it is, though, once you get into a community like this, North Platte has small town aspects to it. We're all I think we're all natives here. We all graduated from high school here. There are small town aspects to it, which I'm sure you've picked up on as well.
Oh, yeah. So we just took a couple of our leaders back to Georgia for our big conference that was at the headquarters in Atlanta. And I haven't seen traffic in months. And so here I am sitting in traffic. And I think I just got more and more frustrated as I sat there, because I can be anywhere in 7.5 minutes from my house to anywhere in town.
That's the biggest thing. I could never do it. And I can't imagine turning kids loose in cities to drive. When they turn 16, I can't imagine doing that.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, when they're in their mid-20s and they live in a city and you ride with them, you're just scared to death, because they become these aggressive city drivers and all that, which kind of ties into talking about young people. I'm always so impressed with the people you guys hire. You have to talk to me. I'd love to learn some things from you today about how you guys hire, teach people. There's just an energy of the people that work in your business.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And it is. It's always people first, right? And I think that's where we started years ago when Truett founded the company. So Truett Cathy founded Chick-fil-A. He actually started out with the Dorf Grill in Atlanta, Georgia in 1946. And that was him and his brother Ben coming out of the Great Depression. Everybody told him, hey, you really shouldn't go into the restaurant business whatsoever. This is a horrible idea. Don't do it. And they did it anyway. Ben actually tragically died in a plane crash a couple years into the endeavor. He had his private pilot's license, went out for a flight, and he actually passed away. So Truett continued on, and the idea of Chick-fil-A didn't come around until about 1967. And 1967 at Greenbrier Mall is where the whole idea of Chick-fil-A was founded, where Truett got a really good deal from Delta Airlines on the chicken that was left over from their in-flight meals. And so what they weren't using, he took it, and they were like, hey, we have all these scraps that we're not cooking. Could you do something with them? And he's like, oh, of course I could. And so he started playing with the chicken sandwich. So his mom actually had a boarding house, and that's where he started to recall her recipes and started to perfect the chicken sandwich. And Greenbrier Mall is where it started. Took a lot of convincing of the mall, because they was like, hey, it's going to be nasty. It's going to be this. It's going to create trash and pests. And he's like, trust me, it won't. It'll be great. And so Truett always had a heart for people. And so in our business, you'll hear all the time, people over profits, right? And I think when you keep people at the center and you keep your mission and your values at the forefront of everything you do, people feel that. People feel cared for. And when people feel cared for, I think is when people perform best. And it was 1982, I believe it was, that chicken prices were at an all-time high. Mm-hmm. The economy wasn't great. Truett had just decided to build our headquarters. And so for you guys here at the bank, it was a $10 million loan at a 20.5% interest rate. And so Truett was actually quoted for saying, "I think I just built Chick-fil-A's tombstone." And him and the executives and his son Dan, who was our CEO for a little bit of time, all got away. So could you imagine taking the top leaders of an organization, taking them away for a weekend, and their goal was to figure out how they're going to come out of this on top? They didn't come away with a lot. They actually came away with 2 sentences. And those 2 sentences were to glorify God by being a faithful steward of all that is entrusted to us, and to have a positive influence on all who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And that actually became our mission at Chick-fil-A. And so could you imagine coming back from your big executives that are supposed to come back with this incredible plan, and they come back with 2 sentences that their salaries are working on all weekend? But that's kind of been our governing light ever since.
Wow.
And that's how we base everything we do.
Is that hard to sell to this generation?
I get asked all the time, "You're a Christian company." And Truett would tell you, we're not a Christian company. In order to be a Christian, you have to have a soul that has to be able to be saved and that kind of thing. He said, we are a company that was founded on Christian principles. And he's seen no problem with good business ethics and Christian principles coinciding. Mm-hmm. And we don't ever, thump that or talk about that with the youth. We just show up and love them, and we care for them. We show up at their sporting events. We're in the schools. We're actually doing the Chick-fil-A Leadership Academy at both of the schools here in town, high schools right now. We're just present. We show up in their lives, and we care about them. And it's been huge. And I think that's how we really win that young generation.
How do you choose them? What are some of the key criteria when you're hiring people? Because I think it's a badge of honor to work for your company as a young person, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Transparently, people don't believe me when I say this. I still do a big part of the interviewing myself, as I get to control that culture inside of our business. And really, I start with one question, and that's, hey, tell me your story. And I let that take us wherever we go, right? Mm-hmm. I don't have a scripted set of interview questions. I don't have anything crazy. I just get to really fill out who they are. And I look in there, are they teachable? If they're teachable, I can take you about anywhere I need to take you. Mm-hmm. Do they have integrity? Like, are they self-aware is another thing I look for. Like, I always ask the question in there, why shouldn't I hire you? And I want to see, like, are they self-aware? Can they tell me something that is somewhere where they are weak that they can work on? And if so, I love it. We can go from there.
I remember standing outside the grand opening here at the restaurant, and it was frigid that day. I think that's the best way to describe it. Tell us about the challenges. Obviously, the building went up remarkably fast.
Yeah.
Somebody told me at one time it was like a 100-day turn on those sorts of things.
It was very quick. I don't remember the exact time, but it was quick.
Tell me about the challenges of getting, from you get to town to you get open. What are some of the things you encountered that maybe you didn't expect?
Of course. So our DC, our distribution center, is so far away. It's based out of Kansas City. And so as you think about that and the deliveries that you get, that can be a challenge because, hey, they shut down I-80 due to snow, and it does fall on one of your truck days, and then you're closed 2 more days. Now you don't have a truck or product to sell, right? And so that always creates a challenge. We actually didn't have produce, like a produce vendor, until about 3 days before grand opening. And there's lots of like hoops that you have to jump through to be a partner with Chick-fil-A. You have to have certain credentials and certifications and that kind of stuff. And so our produce company comes out of the other side of Omaha. And so they drive over to us 3 times a week that we actually have to subsidize their driving just to get the product here. And I think this is also, and I mentioned it at the grand opening, David, that this is the second time we've ever built this building. So Fort Dodge, Iowa, and us are the first 2 to ever have this model. And so they opened a week before us, and we opened a week right after them. So there's been a lot of challenges in that. The guest side probably wouldn't recognize it. Somebody that's been around Chick-fil-A a long time, there's just little things that you're like, hey, can we just turn this? Can we do this? And as we learn, they're already planning on reinvesting in the business, which is great. Chick-fil-A is actually coming out to make us 2 lanes all the way around. Mm-hmm. They're going to add additional parking. They're going to put dumpster doors on. So all of this stuff is coming. We're going to have 2 permanent freezer pods put on the back of the restaurant, so that we'll be able to stock up on all of that so that we won't have those challenges of distribution center and that kind of stuff. But there's just been a lot of those little challenges that we have faced throughout, I think, starting up any business when you're sitting there 3 days before and you're like, hey, we've got to have lettuce and we've got to have tomatoes and we've got to have this, and we have nothing.
Oh, boy.
It was a scary day.
Yeah.
It was a scary day.
Tell us about your favorite thing on the menu and maybe what the most popular things are.
Yeah, so the most popular thing is our waffle potato fries. It's our number 1 selling product. It comes with, it does come with every meal unless you substitute it. My favorite thing is the number 1 chicken sandwich. I'll share this. my actual favorite thing is the spicy grilled sandwich. Mm-hmm. It's not on the menu. You cannot order it. It comes out occasionally as a limited time offer. We did have it, I think, right when we opened, we had the spicy grilled sandwich. But yeah, so it is done really well. And yeah, I don't think you can ever go wrong with that number one sandwich.
It was actually interesting. We contemplated an icebreaker question that's, what is your favorite off-menu item that you can get? So it's interesting that you say that, because that is actually kind of ironic that would be. Actually, my favorite out there is a spicy salad that you can get.
The Southwest salad?
Yes, thank you. That's really, really good. In fact, my wife likes that salad too. That's kind of our go-to now when we're on the road or something.
What kind of dressing?
The avocado ranch.
Okay. Try the creamy salsa next time.
Yes, sir.
It's very good. That's actually what's supposed to go with
tips.
that.
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah. The insider tips is good. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, go right ahead.
We might have to have a Southwest chicken salad like Pepsi challenge, because, we've always talked about Calla family, little shout out, and runs a Southwest chicken salad.
That's pretty good.
And these guys is top notch too. So it might be a fun future podcast to have those guys in together.
Anytime you introduce food into a podcast, I think it can only go perfectly.
It is a great item.
Yeah.
We had a little side conversation before we started today, so I kind of want to tee you up to talk about that, because Chick-fil-A has some pretty amazing benefits for their employees, but also, what's one of your biggest challenges here in North Platte today?
Yeah, so I think it's the war on talent, right? I think that's everywhere. I've heard it even downstairs at the bank, right? Like, I am here all the time, and they just talk about it, and it's no different in the food industry, right? And so as you talk about that great talent, you're constantly looking for it, but you might only get 6 applications in 14 days. Mm-hmm. And most of the time you're getting 6 applications a day in most places for Chick-fil-A. That's been one of the challenges as we talk about finding that team member that we talked about, right? You've got our core values that we look for and that we hope to have, which our company's name is Grace Restaurant Services, which it's just an acronym. So the G stands for grit, the R is relationships focused, the A is all in. The C is actually a pretty unique one to LEA, which is the care program, and E is exceptional service. And so the care program is for individuals with exceptional needs that can come and work at our restaurant. And so we actually have some of that going on right now, and LEA hopes to build that out more. But we're trying anywhere and everywhere to get incredible people. I'm not one of those people that will go around and poach other people's talent. I've never been that guy. I didn't take people from other restaurants and bring them here with me. A lot of times when a Chick-fil-A opens, one of us guys coming out of LDP or girls coming out of LDP have met people along the way. And typically those individuals will be like, hey, when you get your store, I want to come work for you. Well, then that means you're taking them from another operator. And when you take them from another operator, that's just not a good look. And so we came out and we did the whole thing organically.
Wow.
We found people here in North Platte. There's only been one person that's actually moved here, Devontae, and he actually worked with me in Columbia, South Carolina at Chick-fil-A for years, was in Leah and I's wedding. He left Chick-fil-A, was doing other things, and called me up one day and said, hey, what's it look like for me to come work for you in North Platte? And he packed everything up and moved to North Platte. And so here we are. That's the only person that I've actually brought with me.
That's awesome.
So,
yeah.
So speak to what Chick-fil-A offers their team members.
Yeah, so every Chick-fil-A is different. We're locally owned and operated, so I can't speak, if somebody's listening to this somewhere else and they go in their Chick-fil-A and are like, hey, this guy said, no, this is the Chick-fil-A North Platte. Leah and I, our whole thing is the next generation, and so we really are focused on education. So we actually pay for the tuition. The only thing you're responsible for is your books at Point University. Point University is an accredited university out of West Point, Georgia. It offers, I think, 18 associate degrees, 22 bachelor's, and 2 master's degrees. And so right now we currently have 8 people enrolled in that through the restaurant, doing super well. I think they're actually on their 3rd semester right now. And I told my leadership team that if every single one of them would go to school, I would go back myself. And every single one of them signed up for school. And so here I am, master's degree number 2, trying to run the business. It's been a fun challenge. It's been great. But watching people who never thought they would go to school for the first time has been absolutely incredible. And they're so happy. They'll come in, guess what I finished the class with? I finished with a 94.6. I'm like, that's so cool. And right, like some of these people are 48, 49 years old going to school for the first time. And so it's just great for me to be able to see that. And then we also offer a 401k that we just started recently. We also offer health insurance, dental, vision, you name it, all of those. Super flexible scheduling, right? We have some of the students that work for us that can only work 1 day a week, and that's okay. Like, hey, if you can work 1 day a week, that's awesome. Come work with us 1 day a week. We'd love to have you. And then, of course, Chick-fil-A Inc. has their scholarship program that they do, the Remarkable Scholars. And so I think we had 4 people apply for that this year. The requirement is just be on staff at a Chick-fil-A and be going to a university or already attending a university that's accredited. And you can win $1,000, $2,500, or a $25,000 scholarship, I believe it is, to that.
Very cool.
Boy, the timing of this discussion couldn't have been any better because Monday night, Dave and I are teaching the NLU session, and it's on strategies to pay for college. And the big message that we're always trying to tell the NLU students is you don't have to borrow all the money to go to school. There's other paths. I can't wait to share this with them.
Absolutely well timed.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah, I tell people all the time too, like, come and knock out your core classes, right? Like, knock out what you would do at a community college and then transfer those in. It is accredited. All you got to do is do 2 years and knock those out. So, yeah, I think anything that you can do to save money and not take out those huge government loans is great because I'm still paying those off today. And I hate that so much.
Yeah,
but
you'd be shocked how much of that we see. So you touched a little bit on the core values and the sentences and all that stuff that came out of that. But the company really has some remarkable culture. And it's hard to kind of just centrally put your finger on it like one thing because it seems like there's so much going on there. It's really a remarkable organization. Can you speak to that just a little bit?
Yeah, and I contemplated whether to even share this or not. That's why I didn't really go there. There is one thing that makes Chick-fil-A so unique, and it's the local owner-operator model, right? And so research that, and you'll learn a lot about it. Like, we have the autonomy to do whatever we want in our communities, and that's the great thing. That doesn't mean I single-handedly run that whole restaurant, right? I have people around me. I develop people. But that is Chick-fil-A's model. So if you're looking for an investment to just turn a profit off of, Chick-fil-A's not for you, right? Like, there's no expectation. There's no rule saying, hey, you have to be in the business 4 days a week, right? But there's metrics and scales that they look at that they can tell whether you're in your business or you're not in your business.
Sure.
And so you've got to love the restaurant. You've got to love the people. And I think you really got to love the community in which you do it all in because you are the heartbeat of that restaurant. And, the year that I applied, actually the statistics have changed even now, but the year that I applied and got selected, there were 89,000 people that applied to be a Chick-fil-A owner-operator, and they selected 112 of us. Last year, there was 112 or 115,000 people that applied, and they still selected 112 people to be owner-operators. And so it's a great thing. There's a lot of responsibility carrying on Truett's legacy, but also caring for your community that you're in. And I do believe like that is the secret sauce of what we do because we get to do life in the communities that we're in every day.
Yeah, that's remarkable.
I find it interesting that Chick-fil-A is so well known for culture. I mean, it's got to be a challenge to maintain that culture with the local owners having so much autonomy over. So it's like, how do they impress that upon?
Yeah, so we have brand standards, right, and brand guardrails that you can't get outside of. Like, you can't add stuff to the menu. You can't change because we do want consistency across the brand. So if you go to a Chick-fil-A in Denver, you should be able to get the same exact product here in North Platte or in Omaha or in South Carolina, wherever that Chick-fil-A might be. So there are standards, there are brand guardrails. We also have inside audits that come through all the time. We have smart shoppers that come through. You don't know who they are. They order the food, and 2 days later, you'll get a report that says, your food wasn't right, here's what was wrong with it, or, hey, you're a great job. They take pictures, they go in detail. And I think what people don't realize is, while we are a quick service restaurant, we have super high standards. And like, I can bite into a sandwich and I can tell you what's wrong with it right off the bat. If the breading's not done just right, if it's not put down into the fryer the correct way, if the bun's not toasted, like, there's so many little things. While it sounds so simple, a chicken breast on a buttered bun with 2 pickles and a foil bag, there's a lot that can go wrong from beginning to end of that process. And so I think that is where we have quality visits, we have food safety visits, we have those secret shoppers that I mentioned, and that's what really helps the brand stay aligned anywhere in the country.
Yeah, it's really remarkable.
Speaking of little details, I'm really interested in the sliding door in the drive-thru.
Yeah.
So I'm into little details like that. So
it is a really unique feature of the
restaurants. It's extremely unique. So talk to me about the why. Is it about being closer to customers? Is it about efficiency or talk to me about that design?
Yeah, I think it's multi there, right? I think the big thing is efficiency, though, right? What we learned for so long is we had to have somebody standing outside the window and somebody inside the window. We actually had windows. Here's this food. Here's this. Now you can streamline that process from bagging. That same person that bags your order can walk it all the way out to the car, even if you're 2 or 3 cars down. And then that car gets to get out of line and keep moving. Mm-hmm. And so, it's huge. Like it's been a game changer. And some days, I think, depending on where the business is, right, like the volume that's coming through, some days you kind of wish you could just close the door because it takes more labor to invest in that. Now, whenever it's cruising, that Friday, Saturday, it changes the game of how we do our business.
You know, the other kind of unique thing, which I think your organization kind of pioneered, is people. Normally, you have just the menu board out there. I think it was a Chick-fil-A the first time I saw people that were standing next to the menu board to assist take the order and make it more efficient. I mean, was that something? How did that get developed?
Yeah, so there was actually an operator in Texas that was like, how do we get the orders quicker to the kitchen? Like, if we can get that quicker, we can get people through quicker. They're happier. We're happier, right? And so it actually started with them in a radio. Well, it actually started before that with a sticky note and a runner. And so they would take the order, they would give it to the guy, and he would run it inside. He would type it into the system so it was getting up there 30, 45 seconds quicker onto the screen for the kitchen. And then it turned into radio on it inside, and you had just one person that was sitting there typing it in the whole time that they're calling these orders out. And then it led to, hey, we're going to try this. I think we started out with some form of tablet. It wasn't an iPad. And over time, we've morphed to the iPad. And so it's kind of become a part of who we are. It's funny. We have team members that they'll come to work with us, and they're like, oh, I'm not going outside. Yeah, you are. We all go outside.
Everybody's
right?
doing that.
I'm outside. We're all outside. Like, we take orders outside. It's just what we do, right? Yeah. And it's kind of, I don't know many Chick-fil-A's today that don't do that. Some of the Chick-fil-A's are outside, and especially in the Carolinas where, I think we'll get to this in a second, just about the things that have kind of surprised me a little bit with the business. Where breakfast is big in the South, they'll be outside from 6:30 a.m. until 10 p.m., and they don't ever go inside. And everybody's like, what? And here, we do it for our peak time, so we're outside for those. But, it's just become a part of our DNA, and it's helped. And over the years, it's morphed. If you've watched, we used to have somebody outside taking cash, and then we've had the cash go to the person, and then we go back to this. And we're constantly always changing our play, and we get to do that.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned it. What sort of things have surprised you?
Breakfast sales, right? So we come out of the South where breakfast is huge, right? And, we don't have to get into figures, but you'll do a third of your daily sales in breakfast in the South by 10:30. So from 6:30 to 10:30 a.m., you can't keep product in the chutes. Kids are coming in before school. Parents are stopping. You name it. And then here, it's nothing. It actually sucks our labor so much to be open that first part of the day. And so, I always ask, I was like, so is breakfast just not big here? And people are like, I eat breakfast. And I'm like, where are you eating? Right? Because, and I love the espresso shop and other places here in town. I eat there quite often myself. But I'm like, where are you eating? And I don't know if maybe people just passing by on the interstate too don't fully know that we're here yet because we don't have big billboards and stuff. But
how long has Chick-fil-A been in Nebraska? I wonder how many people know that Chick-fil-A does breakfast, because it's a fairly new company. I think even in Nebraska, the first time I had it was in Colorado.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think it's been here.
I think we're 12 years in, something like that, maybe.
Okay.
I think the first stores were in Lincoln and Omaha, but for Western Nebraska, it's still a fairly new to the area type of organization. I'm with you. The first time I encountered it was in DIA or at the Brighton restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
And so I don't know. Maybe it just takes longer to catch on here and get familiar with the company. But breakfast is one of my favorite things that you guys do.
Yeah, one of the funny things is people come in all the time. They're like, chicken on a biscuit, and I'm like, just try it. I promise, it's okay. We've got spice, we've got original. It's okay. And they're like, no, I'll go with the sausage. I'm like, we've got sausage, we've got bacon. It's okay. We can do it all. But the chicken on a biscuit's pretty good.
It's actually a really healthy, high-protein breakfast.
Actually, my favorite healthy, high-protein breakfast is out there. It's the grilled chicken, egg white.
Grilled. Yeah.
It's grilled chicken, egg whites on an English muffin, and it's really good.
It is so good. That grilled breakfast filet is awesome when it's done right.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Absolutely.
I've been working with food service operators for a long time here in North Platte, and the two questions that nobody seems to be able to crack is how do you have a great breakfast crowd, and how do you do business during Husker game days? And those seem to be characteristics of our market that have just historically been a challenge. But a little shout out to you guys too. In addition to the breakfast that I don't think a lot of people have awareness of, your catering too.
Oh yeah,
really impressive how you guys run your catering operation too.
So. Yeah, catering's great. It can be done, individual box meals to trays to. We actually have some stuff coming out for all the holiday parties that are coming out in about November. You buy a tray of mac and cheese, you get 2 gallons of tea free. And then December, it's you buy a large nugget or strip tray, you get a small nugget tray free kind of stuff. So we're going to do a lot of different stuff there just as we lead into the end of the year. But catering's big. But Husker games, wow. You mentioned that Saturday morning, I'm sitting there, and I'm kind of looking around at my team, and I'm like, there's nobody here. And usually by this point, we're kind of getting our heads kicked in a little bit. I'm looking, and it clicked with me.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, what time does Nebraska play today? They said 11 o'clock. I said, well, that answers it. Let's and so that's where you kind of shift all those labor hours. Hey, let's get some deep cleaning done. Let's get some other stuff done. And it comes later in the day.
There's still some efficiencies that you can run there. Yeah. Well, I've had a great time with this discussion. It's always fun to learn about another company's culture and kind of dig into that sort of stuff. But I know we've kind of got a question to kind of wrap up today that relates to what you've kind of gone through here in the last year. And Danielle's going to kind of kick that off in our Asking for a Friend segment.
Yeah, the question's, what advice would you give to someone who is looking to start a new business?
We've seen a lot of new business application starts here over the course of the last probably year, and that's kind of a loaded topic. Ty, why don't you start?
You want me to take the first step?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been exciting the last, I'd say, 24 months or so. Entrepreneurism seems to be a little bit back in our area. It seemed like those types of loan applications and new accounts were slower for a time period, but they definitely seem to be growing again, which is really exciting. I think my biggest piece of advice is learn to do research and do it in a way that it isn't about what your dream is. It's about doing real good research. Say that I was going to open a new business that offered a product that the community didn't have today. Go out and survey people, talk to people, go to other communities and talk to those business owners. Owners of businesses in other communities will share unbelievable amounts of information and wisdom with you, but sometimes people are scared to ask.
Right.
And so find peers and go talk to people. We have a Nebraska Business Development Center that helps people with business plans. But my biggest piece of advice is learning to do thorough and objective research to where you can really learn, okay, what kind of margins can I truly achieve and compete, and how big is my customer base, and those types of things. And so, of course, in my world, you're always trying to put things to math. And so I always encourage people, if I have a dream, I can't just assume that my dream equates to a business that will operate.
Right.
I need to go really research it and talk to people that do that. So that's probably my biggest piece of advice. I'll pass that to you.
Yeah. So I always joke, a business plan's great until chicken hits the fan. And so I have this amazing business plan that we had going into North Platte, and February 6th happened, and the business plan is still true of who we are, but the way we do business is it's different, right? And that's okay. I think being adaptable to that. But I think the biggest thing that I would tell you is anytime you want to start out a new business, just be prepared for the investment, because nobody is going to care much about your business as much as you do, right? And so you're going to live there, and there's going to be long seasons, and sometimes I think people have this great idea of I'm going to open a business and it's going to be kind of turnkey. And I only speaking from a Chick-fil-A side, it's never been that. Like
from the ultimate kind of turnkey model, right?
Right. Yeah. And it's not turnkey at all, right? It's long days. Some days I'm there 16 hours and I'm back there the next morning opening the restaurant. So I think you just got to be really, really careful of understanding what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah. My advice is probably a hybrid of the two. You mentioned the Nebraska Business Development Center. Some of the better business plans I've looked at in the last 6 months have come with their help. And so finding some expertise to kind of help guide you through that process, I think is a really good step along the way. And then the second part you kind of alluded to, there are surprises along the way. And most of the business models we see, and this is true of a lot of things, but they're a little bit undercapitalized. So just be prepared, because it's going to eat through cash right away. You're not going to open the thing and just here's this windfall. There's going to be some tough times that you've got to weather through, and that takes some resources. So those are kind of my things. Yeah,
we really work hard to try to help people look at truly what is that capital need. And there's, in addition to our local Nebraska Business Development Center, UNK, UNO has fantastic resources. The Small Business Administration, and there's many online materials about business planning and doing projections and all that type of thing. And so I think a lot of it is putting an all-in effort in that planning and going into it. And again, I just want to reemphasize, you don't start with the conclusion and then draw your assumptions from there. You should start with really good assumptions and then start to analyze your conclusions.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. Well, this has been a lot of fun. It actually kind of ties a few episodes together here. Not long ago, we had Nebraska volleyball coach John Cook in, and part of his presentation down at the Neville Center was the Chick-fil-A model. It's my pleasure. We really didn't talk about that a whole bunch today, but it has been a pleasure to have you here, and we wish you well in the marketplace.
Thank you so much. It's been great being here with you guys.
You bet.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
All right, well, that wraps up our episode today. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review, subscribe, and share with your friends. For more episodes, visit nebraskalandbank.com/podcast, member FDIC.